Tales of the Passive Income Paradox. Derek, what do you have to say about the passive income paradox?
Yeah, so as we talked about a couple minutes ago, basically it's where as you start earning more passive income, you'll actually show up and be able to be a lot more productive in your active income or your day job. And I've definitely experienced that. I know you did as well, Jimmy, years ago when you were getting into this game. What's interesting though, or a funny story, is I knew this year in 24 was going to be the first year that my wife and I would be able to take the real estate professional designation. And I realized at the end of last year that we weren't going to have to pay really hardly any tax at all on my salaried income. But instead of, I didn't want to wait to get a huge refund in 2025 and essentially give the government a loan for 12 or 16 months. So I went to HR in December and I said, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to do something with my withholdings to where it's basically nothing. And of course they told me, they're like, that's impossible, or how does that work? So I tried to explain a little bit of this to them, and I could just tell that they had no idea what I was talking about. And so anyway, finally where they landed was there was a lot of discussion, because they basically told me for 20 minutes, you can't do that, or everyone's got to pay taxes. And I could just see I wasn't going to break through.
But why is it any of their business?
Because mechanically we were trying to do it in our HR system, which it's a huge, like, well-known HR, it's Paycom, which is like probably one of the largest HR systems there is. But I just told them, I said, no, there's got to be some way in here I can turn off all the withholdings. But long story short, basically what I had to do is they're like, the only thing you can probably do is if you have 25 dependents and 25 kids or something, because I think you could literally put up to 30 dependents, which is completely absurd.
I did it back in the day. I put like that I had 10 kids.
Okay, right now it shows I have 22 children. And and I think I have $212 come out every 2 weeks, or it's basically nothing compared to what it would be. But anyway, it landed in a good spot because I finally figured it out. But I was super frustrated for 20 or 30 minutes thinking I'm literally going to have to sit here and give the government kind of a massive loan and pay tax all year when I know full and I will not have to pay that tax. And so, it broke the right way. And yeah, I basically...
So you're able to do the math for your depreciation and say, hey, so the known constants are your salary, right?
Correct, yes.
The known constants is your salary and then your depreciation. So those are your known constants.
Correct.
And so then you would understand your tax liability, right?
That's correct, yeah. And I'll still get a big refund because, like, when I get, like a lot of corporations, you'll get an annual bonus. That's still going to have 25% come out. And I don't really know if there is a way for me to finagle that one as much, but I'm okay with a little bit of that because at least I'll have some refund to look forward to. But yeah, there was no way I wanted to have the bulk of my income, or at least a large portion through my salary, just have to wait until April or May of 25 to get all that. So,
but do you understand, like, you doing that, how much you're getting over on, say, most people are like, oh, I've got to get out of this job because I got to pay so much in taxes, right? Yeah. But you understand, like, a business owner, a 1099, so the way the tax code goes, business owner are people who pay the most taxes. Sole proprietor, 1099. Lawyers, doctors, 1099 salespeople, all those type of people, right?
Yeah.
Next would be a business owner like myself with this. No, next would be employees.
Yeah, W-2.
Yeah, and then next would be someone like myself with a C Corp who I can limit my tax liability. But most people don't understand, if they quit their job, their taxes actually go up.
Yeah.
And so, like, I believe you have equity in your company, you got a great salary, no tax liability. I believe you slid down the chain to like where I'm at with a C Corp business structure that I had to pay a ton of money to lawyers and accountants to get.
Yeah, no, it's the tax part is super, super efficient now. So that's when we were talking earlier, just I'm really trying to dial that in this year with my CPA, and they've been super helpful. And yeah, trying to figure out too with the accelerated depreciation, how do we optimize for this year, but then also keep a little gas in the tank in the future years? Because obviously it's super beneficial to primarily offset the highest income, anything over 30% and everything. And as I mentioned earlier, this is where it's starting to get fun, or just massively taking advantage. And it's funny, I've told a couple of coworkers too about this, and these are some really smart people. I was like, yeah, basically you won't pay taxes here, and just you can tell people it just did completely, they almost assume you're somehow doing something fraud, or just they're like, that's not possible. But it's hard to go into a 30-minute conversation about that when people have no context of real estate investing. But it is cool. And actually, the only reason we didn't do this maybe sooner is I was explaining to Linda, because she is the actual real estate professional. She's one that qualifies, but she was a very successful pharmaceutical sales rep, won the President's Club several times, and just that's a great career because it's not the most demanding career in terms of hours, but you can make really good money. And I know when she and I were talking about it, and even some of her friends who still worked at the same type of companies would be like, why in the hell would you ever leave really such a great corporate role like that? But when I explained to her, I said, the amount you have to put in, the amount of hours to get this designation, when you compare that hourly amount to what we save on taxes, which just call it $100K this year, it's going to be close to that. I'm like, we make more money with you working less and staying home and having a ton more flexibility. And once I broke it down to her, right away, she's, oh, okay, I see it. And I quit trying to explain to some of her friends because they're still convinced it makes no sense. But you and I know it's awesome, or that's just the benefit of having a large enough portfolio and just being smart. And it takes maybe a couple years to sort of line things up to be in that spot. But now going forward, it does make showing up to work feel much more enjoyable, knowing basically gave myself $100,000 raise. So that doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's passive income. Dude, you're threading the needle. You're working. What I love about our West Point education is it taught you how to manage a system, how to work a system where the country got what they wanted. They got 2 officers who got deployed multiple times. We got what we got. We got leadership experience. We figured out how to work a system, what rules to follow, what rules not to follow. But my experience in the Army was, I know there's always another way and a better way than just the status quo.
Yep. Yeah. And
let's put this on paper, but what type of benefit do your 2 boys get when mom's there?
No, 100% agree. Even if we couldn't have taken this designation, she and I talked about it too, just like having a less stressful situation for both of us with having one spouse. It's hard when both are working busy jobs, jumping through hoops, and we both travel a little bit. So for me, that was the most important decision regardless of the tax benefit. But to be able to roll that into it, then it's pretty incredible. And it works great in our current situation, but I know as we go forward and are going to continue to buy a lot more every year, it's just there's like endless gas in the tank to take these large depreciation benefits every year and offset it. And I'm fine if I end up paying 10 to 15K of federal tax a year. Like, I'm not up in arms if it's not zero. But you and I know that's ridiculous if you can have high W-2 jobs and pay 5% federal tax. Like, that just, it only happens if you're doing this essentially with real estate, like you say, threading the needle and just playing the game very smartly. So it's getting fun to do it now.
I just had this other thought, like, you perfectly thread the needle on the income tax because you live in a state with no income tax in Texas.
Yep.
So you've taken care, but now where Texas does get you is on property tax. And you're like, okay, whatever, I'll invest out of state so I don't have to do that.
Yes. No, and that's real too, because I love owning property in Texas and do own some. Just probably the most growth-oriented state in the country, path of progress, all those great things. But property taxes are very real here, as well as just a lot of the inclement weather, natural disasters, insurance increases here in the Gulf Coast and Houston it's a real increase, which has been tough. So yeah, you're right. I do look at the property tax stuff in other states of how do you arbitrage some of that. Like, I've never been a fast learner or like the fastest at anything, but I've always been good at least at like having a plan and just work your plan over time. And I think that's why I like real estate, because sure, some people like yourself, I give you massive, like you figured it out and exploded overnight, but there's so many paths to end up in a great spot, whether you do it in 2 years or 10 years or 20 years, just as long as you have some sort of plan and you're aware of the rules of the game, it's hard not to come out in a good spot.
But here's what I love about your story is, and this pisses me off on Instagram, but if you look on Instagram, every business owner always talks top line revenue.
Yeah.
I know, because I lived this too. I was in a hawk to the IRS up to 250K. Like, All these people talking high income aren't paying their taxes, aren't talking about their net. And my belief on that is because when you do have a substantial net income, you're not going to talk about that publicly because you have some respect of what it took to earn that net and all the punches in the face you had to take. But if you look at Instagram, everybody should be a business owner, and that it's just not true. Like, God gave everybody certain abilities and certain unique geniuses. And so I would assume you've risen to where you've risen because you have a unique genius in what you do. And if you were to walk away from that, that's why I can't stand this whole Entrepreneurs Elk Club on Instagram. Where like Gary Vee, hey bro, if you're not hustling, you're a loser. Like, stuff pisses me off.
No, it is a great point because I see all that too. And I'm sure probably most of your investors or aspiring investors, everyone that's looking to invest, you can't hide from all of the slap you in the face. Everyone's got to go be a business owner and an entrepreneur information that's out there. And I definitely still think about that a lot too, but
nobody talks about most business owners pay more tax than employee because it takes a long time to get everything going. Dude, I didn't even pay taxes my first 3 years because I was I'm in the hustle, bro. Gary Vee told me to go make a video. I'm gonna go make a video. Why would I talk to my accountant?
And that's where not having the black or white approach to where it's like, hey, either I'm just stuck at a corporate job or I'm all in entrepreneur and no safety net. I think that's where, if you do some homework, come up with a plan, you can use leverage in everything or leverage your real estate portfolio I feel like I have a hybrid approach right now because I'm absolutely heavily involved in my W-2 career and in my company. And there's fortunately a lot of positive things that are going in a good trajectory, but I'm heavily involved in real estate on the side and have done that enough now where, now you've got I'm able to basically still be an entrepreneur in a meaningful way and capturing the tax benefits of that while still the benefits of high earning W-2.
Like, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. The technical, and I hate this too. Oh, your daughter has a lemonade stand. She's an entrepreneur. The technical definition of entrepreneurship is you take something from lower value and make it higher value. So like when Steve Jobs found that crazy glass in Asia and made the touchscreen, that was an entrepreneur move.
Okay.
Like, I think at the end of the day, I'm a small business owner and I love doing it. And there's certain parts of my working genius that allow me to do it and I love it. But I think people need to be like a little better precise on your speech. Like, you got to do certain, like Elon Musk, that dude's an entrepreneur. He's taking something from a low level to a much, much higher level at scale. And I'm sure this could be I'm sure I'm going to get some great YouTube comments on that comment. But there is a little, hey, let's not pat ourselves on the back too much here. No, you're a small business owner. Like what?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those are great points, I think.
It's like people who ride their bike and they're like, oh, I'm saving the environment because my CO2 emissions lower. No, bro, you're just riding your bike to work.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you make over $300K per year, I think my program could be great for you. We're gonna find beat up houses like this one behind me that we just started rehab in. I don't know if the video is doing justice to how bad these floors is. And then let me take you through a spin here. This is the kitchen. Don't notice there is no kitchen, but our investors love deals like this because they know in 3 weeks, this is going to be a beautiful kitchen waiting for either a new homeowner or a new resident to rent. So if you're interested in investing in real estate in a completely passive manner and want someone to find the house, to fix the house, to find a tenant, or help you sell it, click the link below to book a call.